I crafted a pulse laser pistol last week. It's been my favorite gun in the game since they added it. I've always thought that blasters and lasers are sci-fi as hell, and I hope we get a lot more of them. I'm kind of obsessed with it, so I jumped at the chance to 3D print this one. I had to scale it down because if you know, you know. And YouTube, this isn't functional, so don't freak out. I didn't build the world's first blaster. Oh yeah, I totally made one in the game too. I walked over to the fabricator, loaded in the materials I'd mined myself, selected a blueprint I'd earned from a mission chain I really struggled to finish, and I watched it build. When it was done, I pulled up the stats and just stared at it for a second. It was better than anything I could loot from any NPC in the game. Better than anything credits could get me from any shop either. And the weird part is, I didn't spend a single credit making it. Well, not unless you count my fuel and refinery costs, I guess. The fabricator I bought, sure, but everything that went into this weapon came from what I did, not what I paid. Crafting was always going to be a big deal, but that moment was when I realized Star Citizen had become a completely different game. Game-changing. That term gets thrown around a lot, especially on YouTube, but in my hand, this pulse pistol represented a lot more than the hundreds of others I have in my inventory. By crafting it, this one was really mine. Listen, I've been playing this game for 10 years now, and for most of that time, if you asked me what the point of Star Citizen was, I would have told you the same thing everybody else would have. Go have fun while stacking credits to buy your next ship, and then do it all again. That's the loop. Every ship guide on YouTube is some variant of how fast can this thing earn Alpha UEC, essentially. We evaluate starter ships almost entirely on their credit potential. We tell new players to grind bounties or run cargo until they can afford something better. The community has been conditioned to treat Star Citizen like a credit treadmill, and I'm not pointing fingers here because I was on that treadmill too, even though I tried to pretend I wasn't. Hell, we all were. And it made sense because for years outside of spending real money, credits were the only progression system this game had. If you wanted a better ship, you go buy it at New Deal in Lorville. Credits were the answer to every question, and naturally the entire player base optimized in earning them as fast as possible. And it went further than just grinding. People were spending real dollars buying credits from gold sellers because credits in Star Citizen are power. With enough Alpha UEC, you could own almost every ship available in the game. And for a lot of players, that was the actual endgame. I'm not talking about flying those ships or even using them as intended, just having them. But then credit duplication exploits and rampant cheating gutted whatever fledgling economy Star Citizen might have had. Suddenly you could buy 1 billion credits for those same gold sellers for less than $5. Billions with a B. There are accounts in this game right now sitting on mountains of duped currency that I legitimately hope a player could never earn in a lifetime of playing. It breaks the game. Credits in the effort to obtain them lost all meaning as a measure of progress, and when something has no meaning, it has no real value. Nothing in the universe has value anymore. But I noticed something insane. People's behaviors didn't change at all. Players are still stacking credits like the number matters, still listing looted items on third-party trading sites for billions of inflated Alpha UEC as if that carries any weight. Once the money became worthless, why is everyone still chasing another zero in their bank account? I think the answer's pretty simple, honestly. Most players are still trying to play a version of Star Citizen that simply doesn't exist anymore. Crafting is the first step in a complete overhaul of Star Citizen. Everybody's been talking about it, but I think people are missing the point and the depth of what CIG built here, judging by some of the pushback I've seen in Spectrum threads and on Facebook groups. Conversations all about blueprints and how the resource system works and whether it's too complex. That's surface level stuff. The real shift is underneath all of that. For the first time in this game, the most valuable gear doesn't come from a shop terminal or exclusively from a loot box. It comes from the labor of players. You can buy a crafted weapon from another player, of course. Credits will still work for that. But somebody had to make it first. Somebody had to mine the ore at the right quality. Somebody had to earn that blueprint. Somebody had to use the fabricator and build it. Credits can only buy you access to somebody else's time and effort. And that's a completely different game than clicking purchase and getting a generic weapon from an NPC terminal. And this is just weapons and armor right now. We're going to be crafting everything soon. Ship crafting is coming. And we'll get into what that means in a minute because the implications are massive. But first, I need to explain why I'm so confident this new system works. Because I've watched it work before. I mean, I'm actually playing it right now in another game. Speaking of players building value through effort, I want to talk about the Impound for a second. The sponsor of this video, and the reason I work with them is pretty simple. They're a third-party marketplace for Star Citizen ships, and they don't sell credits. That matters to me, especially given everything we just talked about. Many of you are going to buy ships anyway, so I want to make sure you do it somewhere safe. They sell ships from their own stock, not from other players, and their delivery times are some of the fastest in space. If you're looking to build out your fleet heading into this new era of Star Citizen, whether that's a prospector to start mining quality materials, or a Hull B to move them around, the Impound is where I'd send you. Links in the description if you want to support the channel. In Star Wars Galaxies, a game that's still alive on private servers 20 years after it launched, the most powerful players on any server weren't the combat players. They were the crafters. The weaponsmith whose name everybody knew, the armorsmith who could source the rarest material and turn out gear nobody else could match. Players sought out specific crafters by name because quality was tied directly to the materials and expertise built over months of play. That economy created relationships and dependencies between players that kept people logging in for years. What CIG is building right now with the quality tiers, blueprint collections, and the fabricator is that same foundation. And I can tell you from first-hand experience what comes next, if they commit to this, is the most compelling version of an MMO economy in all of gaming. And who are the people who should be excited most about that shift? Well, it's the miners and everybody else in the supply chain. They've already won, and most of them don't even know it yet. Since 4.7 dropped, I've been seeing miners all over the community complaining that mining isn't profitable anymore. And look, on the surface, they're absolutely right. NPC terminal payouts went down overall. If you're still mining ore and selling it to a station terminal, your credits per hour absolutely took a hit compared to what you were making before. They're frustrated about losing income from the old economy while they are literally sitting on the most valuable commodity in this new one. Player-to-player trading market tools are coming, and when they do, high-quality materials sold directly to crafters are going to command prices that no NPC terminal ever paid. Miners who figure this out are going to have more options than anyone else in the game. They can stockpile and sell directly to crafters at a premium, or perhaps feed their own fabricator and launch a business. Maybe even work as a group and supply an entire org's production line. But most miners can't see it yet because they're still measuring success in the old way in credits per hour. And that metric just doesn't mean what it used to. But miners aren't the only ones who've been underserved. There's a massive chunk of this community that's felt like second-class citizens in this game for years, and they had every right to feel that way. I'm talking about the combat citizen complaint. For a really long time, combat was the only gameplay loop with real depth and a reliable income, and it's still by far the highest earning potential if we go by credits per hour. If you didn't want to shoot things honestly, there wasn't much of a game here for you because of credits being so important. So what does 4.7 look like for those players now? A hauler moving high-quality materials between a mining operation and a crafter's workshop is performing a service that has real value to other players. They're moving the building blocks of the game. And before 4.7, these were people grinding credits with extra steps. Now the players are counting on them to show up and do their thing because the game really needs them. But this isn't just about miners and crafters. If you love bounty hunting, keep bounty hunting. Seriously, the economy needs you. The system CIG is building requires two sides, producers and consumers. Crafters make the gear, miners and salvagers buy the materials, haulers move everything around, but somebody has to actually buy what gets made. That's you. That's me. That's all of us for something that we need. The credits you earn running combat missions flow to the crafter when you buy their gear. That crafter turns around and buys raw materials from a miner. Your bounty hunting is what funds the entire supply chain, and what you get in return is better than anything the old system ever offered you. The weapon or armor you buy from a player crafter is going to outperform anything an NPC shop has ever stocked. And look, I know someone's going to say, all that effort for something that's only like 5% better? Well, for now, yeah. But remember, this is just the initial implementation and the system's going to evolve from here. Even so, 5% in any competitive game is the difference between average and elite. That's the gap between someone who's okay at Call of Duty and somebody who could go pro. Min-maxing and gear farming have always been the endgame of every MMO that's ever lasted. You don't have to change what you do if you don't want to, you just get better stuff overall if you want it because the people making your gear now have every reason to make it as good as they possibly can. When everyone's doing what they're good at and everyone's benefiting from what everybody else is good at, that's what a real economy looks like. Damn, it's a masterclass in game design. And if you're watching this during the free fly, if you literally just downloaded this game this week and you're trying to figure out what to do first, please hear me on this. The worst advice you can get right now is grind bounties until you can afford a better ship. I know that's what half the guides out there tell you, and I think mine does too, to be honest. That advice made sense 3 years ago, but it's completely out of date now. The best advice I can give you is try a little bit of everything. Figure out what part of this game gets you excited, because there's a place in it for every type of player now. And once you find your thing, the game rewards you for getting great at it in ways that have nothing to do with your bank balance. That sounds like the kind of game you've been looking for? Join the crew and hit subscribe. It's a good time to be here. I hinted about it before, so let's talk about ship crafting, because it's my belief that's the thing that's going to redefine the idea of progression even further. I made a video last year that basically said Wicklow was crafting tier 0, and I still really believe that. He's more than that, of course. He's testing a system much like crafting that's an alternative progression model that moves away from easily gamified systems like credits. Every game has gold farmers, and every game has exploits, but Wicklow doesn't take credits. He takes materials, favors, effort. CIG's been testing this philosophy for over a year now, and the Fabricator's the next step. Ship crafting is the next one after that. And that's confirmed, by the way. At CitizenCon 2954, they showed player orgs constructing Bengal carriers through dry dock modules on player-owned space stations. They also showed player-crafted Crusader C1s. Ships will ultimately have 5 upgraded tiers of ship crafting quality. And I fully expect that mid-tier and high-end ships will eventually only be obtainable through crafting or systems like Wicklow, because credits have already proven they can't be the gate. They're too easy to exploit, too easy to inflate, too easy to buy from some guy on the internet for $5. If you want a Bengal in the future of Star Citizen, you're not going to one-click buy one at a terminal. You're going to need an org full of miners, refiners, crafters, haulers, working together to build it. And of course, all the combat players protecting that operation while it happens. That's a community building something together, because no person can do it alone. That is the dream of Star Citizen. The title of this video was "Your Credits Don't Matter in Star Citizen Anymore," and that's not clickbait. Star Citizen's moving to a system that rewards effort to produce the real value of the verse. That means the credit balance sitting in your account is going to say less and less about how powerful you actually are with every patch going forward. What defines you as a player is going to be what you actually love doing in the game. That's the new Star Citizen. And speaking for myself at least, it's the one I've been waiting for.